make sure you keep just a few sources of day-old suppliers, people who you get day-olds from, so that at least you are guaranteed of a certain quality of day-old you are getting in. If you keep changing sources of day-old, it's going to affect the farm, because you might get different birds at different points in time because you keep changing your sources of day-old. Okay, so for a farmer to maintain the farm, first of all, quality should not be compromised. So one of the things we have learned to do is to make sure, as I mentioned earlier, to create a standard procedure, a standard operating procedure, STP. So I try to document whatever I started doing from the initial stages and to perfect it, so that I know that at this point of the bird's life, this is what I do. So over a period of time, I practice it, then I standardize it to make it something that even if workers come in, that is what they are supposed to do to keep the quality of what we are producing. Secondly, one of the things you also have to do is make sure you invest in the structure, because cheap things are always expensive. If you're able to put up a good structure, it might last you for a long time, although the capital cost might be high. But capital cost is always spread over a period of time, so you know it's going to take time to repay the capital cost. So you invest well and you're good to go. Another thing to do is make sure you keep just a few sources of day-old suppliers, people who you get day-olds from, so that at least you are guaranteed of a certain quality of day-old you are getting in. If you keep changing sources of day-old, it's going to affect the farm, because you might get different birds at different points in time because you keep changing your sources of day-old. Feed is also a factor. Good feed will help your birds grow well. So with the feeding, I use the Koji's feed. So I do the starter, the grower, and the finisher. So I do starter from day 1 to 10 days. Then I continue with grower till the 28th day. Then from there, I start with the finisher. This is what I've been practicing for some time now. Moreover, the water system. Water is essential for the birds. So if your water is not good, that is quality-wise, and it's not always available, it will be a problem. So we use the automatic water system where we connect it to a reservoir, and so there's water readily available anytime the bird wants it. And it also helps keep our litter dry, because with the water system, it is only when the bird needs the water and touches the nipple, that is when the water will flow. So unlike the traditional ones where we had the bucket drinkers, most of the time some of the birds are stubborn, they will just pour it and the litter gets wet, which will create a lot of problems. That is helping microorganisms to grow and all that. Another thing most people don't take notice or are not too concerned about is the litter. You need good wood shavings. You don't use sawdust. Sawdust might create a lot of dust, which might create CRD, a respiratory disease for the birds. So it's best when you use the wood shavings. And litter change is one thing most farmers don't like. But it's one thing too that can always save you as a farmer. Because the often time you change your litter, the less to zero possibility of diseases break out. Because when the litter is not that dirty, it helps. But if you keep it for a very long time, it can breed a lot of sicknesses which will affect the health of the bird as well. So these are some of the practices that has been able to help maintain. And another thing, if you're a beginner, I believe plowing back a percentage of your profits or what you gain from the sale of birds should be plowed back into the business. Because if you get any money you get, even that, I always say it's not profit, because you have capital costs you are supposed to pay for. So whatever returns you get, when you subtract your cost of production and whatever you get, you try to put back some of that percentage of that money back into the business. You can't squander all. If you're going to spend all that, then you can't grow, because you just have, you always have only your capital. And as we know, this country, prices of feed keeps going up, prices of day old keeps going up. We don't have control over those things. So if you are going to keep spending whatever thing you get and which is profit, then definitely over time your business is going to collapse. So these are some of the things we have done to be able to get to where we are now. So this is something I can tell people who want to get into the farming or the broiler production to do. Okay, so for marketing, as a broiler farmer, even before you start the broiler farming, you should try and create a market or get a market before you get into it, because broilers is about how fast they can go after 6 weeks. The more you keep them, they eat your profit. So it's best if you're able to get off-takers, get people you can supply to, either live or dressed. So either way, it's best if you do that, because if you don't have the market, I wouldn't advise you to go into broiler farming. For us, we have been able to do a little bit of work to get almost about 3 off-takers and individual customers. So we have our individual customers and we have the off-takers. So in any case, whenever their beds are ready, we call our customers to see if anybody needs any of them before we call in the off-taker, because when the off-takers come, they come for everything. So if our customers are not in there for us, we have our off-takers who are ready to pick everything and clear our stock for us. Okay, so my last words is that if you do a good maintenance plan, as I've already spoken about, and you get your marketing right, I'm sure you're good to go into the broiler market and you succeed in the broiler market, because there's a lot of demand for fresh dressed broilers. Thank you.